Welcome to my third video in the devlog about the marble model. Today we are talking about the resistance. Here we see some videos of an early prototype. Because the resistance is usually a single game object, the most important part I'd like to talk about is the variation within the marble model. The very first idea was having a dwarf standing on top of the resistance, and this dwarf is pulling a wire. The higher the resistance value becomes, the more dwarfs appear. Because it was very time consuming creating multiple dwarfs, I just changed the texture of the original one. And this concept is here visible. In the long run, in the future, I'd like to have some variation in the dwarfs and also have them animated, but at the moment I'm not sure if I do want to keep this interpretation of resistance. Another interpretation of resistance in this model was just making the pipe thinner and making the pipe more and more damaged depending on the value of the resistance. Another one of the early concept ideas was having two rocks where I have to push the marbles through, and depending on the value of the resistance there would be more or less weight above the top rock. The rocks would also have some kind of grid, and depending on the resistance value, this grid would become thinner or bigger. This version could become a third implementation one day, but at the moment I'm happy to have even one idea realized in a proper way. I would like to show you the most current variation. I'm redesigning many parts of the work, and here I build up a new scene where you can see the most recent variation. In this version the game object still looks quite primitive. At the moment I'm thinking about making rings around the resistance. The rings visualizing the value of the resistance, and it would be nice to have to see the proper coding in the colors. But I'm pretty sure at the moment is this one of my very last problems to worry about. There are still many other issues within this program. In this redesigned variation, the pipes just become thinner, and I'm not sure how to imply the dwarfs because the resistance is quite thicker than the pipe itself, and I'm thinking this could cause confusion if the pipe becomes bigger and then even thinner later on. So I decided in this variation that the pipe only becomes thinner and the thin part just becomes longer depending on the value of the resistance. In an alternative mode I'd also like to keep a variation where the pipe is just being damaged, and the higher the resistance value gets, the more damage appears at the pipe. But those components still have to be layouted, they need to be designed, and I didn't have the time yet to create these game objects yet. At the moment those are nice to have features. Here we see the resistance in the cascades mode. The resistance is represented with a water pipe going down. Depending on the value of the resistance, the radius of the pipe goes up or it goes down. The height of this pipe is not influenced directly by the value of the resistance. The height of the pipe is influenced by the results of the algorithm calculating all values for each part of this circuit. Thanks for watching.